They did it. They found a way to make it worse. Yes, they did. The first chapter, insulting to the strangers, if you ask me. Chapter 2, I feel like they had to try to make it that bad. You know what I mean? And I know this is harsh. I am always way too harsh on these movies, okay? I am very self-aware. And these are not the kinds of movies that need to be criticized to death. I understand. These are dumb popcorn thriller movies that are not to be taken too seriously. And the reason why I go in on them so much is because they attempt to be a part of a franchise that are not dumb popcorn thriller movies. Actually, I should say the original. The original is not a popcorn thriller movie. That is a movie full of dread and tension and despair, and does not match the tone for these new Strangers movies. Arguably, Pray at Night, a little bit more of a popcorn thriller. If these movies were their own thing, that's fine. They would still be bad movies, in my opinion. Very derivative, cliche slasher movies. That's just my opinion. But they would be their own standalone thing. I probably would not care that much about them. Why are they a part of the franchise? Or is it even a franchise? Well, it is now because of these movies. But like, why is it attaching itself to the hype around and cult following around the Strangers original? Am I gonna be a little harsh in this and really nitpick these movies? Absolutely. If you like these movies, don't watch my video, okay? I'm not here to convince you that they're bad. This is for entertainment purposes only, all in good fun, okay? Sometimes you gotta vent. Sometimes you just gotta let it out. After learning that one of their victims, Maya, is still alive, 3 masked maniacs return to finish the job. With nowhere to run and no one to trust, Maya soon finds herself in a brutal fight for survival against psychopaths who are more than willing to kill anyone who stands in their way. So this movie pretty much starts right where the first chapter left off. So we're continuing to follow Maya after the events of the first movie. Now, I'm not even sure where to give a spoiler warning for this review because my notes and, you know, they're all jumbled around. I tried to organize them as best I could. So mild spoiler warning for the whole video, I'm gonna say, but I will tell you when I'm getting into like hard spoilers a little bit later on. But if you want to fully enjoy the movie and not know anything about it, don't watch this video at all. It's not good. I don't like it. There's my review, my short little sweet summary of the movie if you really care. But otherwise, mild spoilers. Actually, first thing I want to start with is what I liked about this movie. Yes, there is something I liked about this movie. Can you believe it? I do try to go in with an open mind for these movies, okay? I don't go into them just like looking for things to shit on. I really am not doing that. No one's gonna believe me when you watch the video, but I genuinely am trying, okay? But I didn't even have to reach for something to like in this movie because I like the settings, okay? I literally wrote down, I like the woods. I know that's not much, it's just a setting, but I like that we spent so long actually in the forest, in the woods. I think that's a fun time. One of my favorite settings for horror is outside in the woods. There's a scene where we are under a building and we're in the tunnels. Love that. I love a good tunnel scene. So I liked all of that. And I do like the different locations and how it's pretty fast paced as far as like we go from this location to this to that. So I mean, a lot of it takes place in the woods, but still, we're changing locations and each location is a cool setting for horror. Is it cliche? Sure, they all are, but it's a setting. It doesn't need to be original. Everything's been done. So like, I can't even critique that, but I liked that. I liked those aspects of it. And honestly, Madeline Petch's performance was good. She was believable. She was really trying to save this movie, I think. She was given a bad script, okay, and a bad storyline with madness going on. I don't even know what this movie was or trying to be. And she worked really hard at this movie and I commend her for that and I appreciate that. That being said, she's too pretty. She's too pretty in this movie. There's nothing more that I hate in a horror movie and it takes me completely out of it is when the character is too pretty throughout the film. Her makeup's done, her nails are done, her hair is did. That's just not believable. You are fighting for your life. She's in the hospital. Perfect manicure. After all of that, perfect manicure. Hair, perfectly curled. Look better than mine right now, and I actually tried. She's got her waves in the hospital after fighting for her life. Sure, she's got like a little bit of a scratch, you know, a little wound on her forehead, but everything else is perfect. Perfectly placed hair, nails, and makeup. There's even a point where she gets a little bit messed up, okay? And then later on, somehow wakes up with perfect curls again. Not curls, waves. She brought her waver to this house. Phone service. What's that about? Obviously, phone service going in and out is a very cliche trope that we see in horror movies all the time. And honestly, I'm kind of tired of it. Either you have service or you don't. You don't just have service in your hospital room and then as soon as you leave the room and you're wandering the rest of the hospital, you don't have service. Hello? That happened twice where it would just go away without any explanation. Conveniently, when the strangers show up, is when the service is no longer. I'm like, what do they have? Some kind of service blocker? Like, what's going on? How do they just conveniently block out her service anytime they show up? Dream sequences, visions, hallucinations. We get a couple of them, and they're not my favorite. They didn't, you know, they weren't too heavy-handed with that, and they didn't overload the horror with these, but she's definitely having some hallucinations here and there, and maybe they're dreams. I don't really know. I don't know if it was clear if it was like an actual dream or just a vision, but we do have some of that going on, and that's typically not my favorite, but I think it only happens like once. The cat and mouse was a little bit repetitive. As soon as we leave the hospital, obviously within the hospital, cat and mouse, they're trying to hunt her down. When we leave, we're in the woods, same thing. It's just going on for a really long time. We're watching her run around for a very, very long time. It felt long. This movie felt long. It's only an hour and a half. I don't know why it felt so long, but I think because a lot of things were pretty repetitive, especially in the middle of the movie. Until something shows up, but we'll talk about that in spoilers. She's dumb, okay? This was my major critique in the first part in chapter 1 was Maya is a dumb character. Nothing against Madeline Petch, except she did say in an interview that Maya is very smart. And I forgot her exact wording, so I'm not even going to try to paraphrase. But Maya is a dumb character. She made really dumb decisions in chapter 1, and that continues into chapter 2. We're drinking stream water. You're really going to risk that? I know it's a movie, and it's all fake, and she's fine. But you're going to drink stream water in the forest. It is running, but that's not a guarantee. You're just going to drink that and risk that while you're trying to run for your life. She wasn't as dumb in this one, I think, as she was in the first one. So I give her a little bit of credit. She did make some good choices as far as like how fast she's trying to get out of there and how fast she gets from like the passenger seat into the driver's seat and like takes off. I think that is more believable. Let's talk about my biggest issue with this movie. I was so mad. I was confused and then I was mad. And why are we getting backstories to the strangers? Why do we care where they come from? Why they do the things they do? That's literally not the point of the strangers. If you think about the first movie, the original, because you were home. It was a random attack. That's horrifying. We don't need to know. We don't need to know. That's part of the horror, is we don't know who these people are or why they're doing this. It's just because they were home. That's scary because we are home. We're in our house and it could happen to us. That is the reality and that is the horror of the strangers. And so now we're getting backstories. We're getting flashbacks to their childhood. Their childhood. Them as children. We don't even care about them. We don't even know who they are. We don't know who they are. We've never seen their face, but now we've seen them, what they look like as a child. Although I will say it's very obvious who they are. And they make this movie makes it very obvious. I mean, we do get a reveal a little bit in this one. And again, we don't need it. We don't need a reveal. They are strangers, right? That's the concept of the whole franchise. It's called The Strangers. So why do we need to know their names? Why are we looking at their faces? Why are we getting a whole backstory on their childhood and how they grew up and why they do the things they do? That makes them not a stranger anymore, maybe more of an acquaintance. I can't do the backstories. As soon as we started with this random scene of a child, I'm like, I know that's one of them, but why do we care? Why are we cutting from Maya to a child? It should be Maya as a child, maybe. I don't know. That would be weird too, but like, what are we watching right now? So that is my major criticism for this movie, and what makes it so bad to me is the fact that we are getting so much backstory for characters that we are supposed to know nothing about. They're changing it completely. Again, if it was a completely different franchise on its own, whatever, do you. Write the story how you want to write it, but because it's supposed to be a stranger's movie, the point of it was the randomness. They attacked her and her boyfriend because you were here, is what they said in chapter 1. Because you were here. So they attempted to do that. They did actually attempt to maintain randomness, I guess, in this movie. The new line that they said in chapter 2, does there have to be a why? Apparently so, because you're going to tell us exactly why they are the way they are. It may still be a random attack, but you're telling us why they want to kill her. So each movie we're getting a line, because you were here, does there have to be a why? Reminding us, it's random, guys. This could happen to you, except it wouldn't, because now we're really getting into the depths of this and being attacked at the hospital and being hunted down in the woods. And now we're learning all about the strangers and who they were as children and their relationships together. So it really is removing itself very much so from the horror of the original. Worst jump scares. Hate the jump scares. Some of the worst jump scares I've ever seen probably in my whole life. And I know that sounds dramatic and very extreme, but they really are. I really can't stand the jump scares in these Strangers movies. I guess we'll get into hard spoilers, as if it really matters. I've already done mild spoilers, but let's get into like a couple hard spoilers. Okay, so first up, the red herrings are a little bit obvious. Okay, we know when she gets in the car, again with the visions, that's another one, the hallucinations. So it happened twice. So she gets in the car with the nurse at the hospital and her, I think, partner, and then her 2 roommates. They're in the car being creepy as hell. If you're not the strangers, why are you acting like that? Why are you pulling out a whole ass hunting knife to cut an apple? So red herrings, obviously we're like, oh, she's in the car with the strangers. These are them. And I actually do think one of them is them. I think it's very obvious that the man to her right was one of them, correct? There's a reason why we zoomed in on his hands, because he has the same freckles on his hands as the man who was mourning the death of one of them. So he's probably one of them. That one wasn't revealed, but we did get a reveal of the waitress at the diner was one of them. And we got her whole backstory in this one. So we got to see her as a child a couple times and her kill a girl with him. Anyway, but they throw them in as red herrings, and it's one of those times where it's either so obvious that it actually is the strangers that it would be really dumb if they did that, or it's so obvious it's a red herring that it would be really dumb if they did that, because it's obvious that if it is them, that's really bad writing, and if it's not them, that's also really bad writing, because you're trying to make us believe that it's them so much so that it's obvious it's not. You know what I mean? One of my other main issues is it's an R-rated film. Why are we only seeing the bodies and not the actual kills? We get a couple like, oh, they get hit with a weapon or something and stabbed, whatever, but we don't actually get to see anything. There's nothing on screen really. It's like very, very fast if we see anything at all. And I'm just surprised because I feel like they could put more budget into the actual practical effects and special effects and blood. This is a strangers movie. We want to see some kind of violence, you know? So we mostly just see bodies after the fact. So the boar. I don't even know what to say about the boar. I was so confused. The lead up to that was like, oh, is this a monster movie now? The girl goes into the cave, releases the boar, but we don't know it's a boar yet. It's like a random, whatever. It sounds like a monster. She is camping, lights a fire, dumb, hears something coming. She runs into the car and it hits the car and it like shakes the whole thing. So at first I thought it was like a dog or something. Dog's not going to move the entire car like that. So I'm like, okay, what the fuck is this? Is this a werewolf now? What are we doing? And then she eventually gets out of the car. It's a goddamn boar. A wild pig? This fight scene with a pig goes on for so long. I was astonished at how random this was. And I know you're going to say there's some kind of backstory with the girl and the pigs because she was a little girl and she was playing with pigs with her love and it was a whole thing. There was a story there. I get it. I really get it. But I don't care. I don't care about her. I don't even know who she is yet. I haven't seen her as a grown woman yet. So I don't know what they were going for with that boar scene. She gets attacked by the boar. She's fighting it. She has to kill it. Animal death in this. Wasn't a fan of that. I didn't want to watch the boar die. That was more traumatic than any other human death in the movie series so far. Like that, I'm not signing up to watch a pig die in a stranger's movie. I'm signing up to watch people die, okay? We spent way too long on that scene. It's like they didn't want to do the same cat and mouse repetitiveness, so they just threw a boar in there. Because that's scary. That's tense. That's something else we can do that brings some fun to the movie, some more, tension that's not just, the strangers hunting her, because that gets really old really fast. There's a reason why this did not need to be a trilogy, because it's the same stuff over and over again. So let's just throw a pig in there. Let's just have her get attacked by a wild boar. And I know if you haven't watched it, I wish I was lying. I wish I was making this up. And then we end the movie with a very emotional scene because one of the strangers dies. I know. We really got to care for her emotionally, seeing her grow up as a child and her love for this man develop over time. And we watched her die and he was very upset about it. Why are we getting an emotional scene about one of the deaths? Are we rooting for them or are we supposed to care for them? What are we doing? I thought we were rooting for Maya, but now we're getting a backstory and a sappy little moment with her and her boyfriend as she's dying. Honestly, put the third one on streaming and call it a day. Please. Please, I cannot do another one in the theater. I was expecting this one to be the same exact level of bad as the first one. And I thought I even went a little too harsh on the first one, to be honest. And now this one makes the first one. I'd rather watch the first one again. At least that one makes sense in the Strangers universe. This one made no sense at all as a Strangers movie. At least the first one took place in a house and they were, it was a home invasion. This one, it's just all over the place. The story is all over the place. The settings are all over the place. I mean, what is this? What is it turning into? What could they possibly do for the third one? Actually, I saw the teaser. What was that? I feel like we are going in a weird direction with this trilogy because honestly, it looks like Maya becomes one of them or she turns the tables, captures them, and kills them herself. Honestly, what I imagined would have changed this franchise and turned it on its head for the better. This is what I would like to see if it was like in a book or something. Maya gets in that car with the nurse and her roommates and her partner. Maya gets in there, she loses it, kills all of them, but they were innocent. And then Maya is still having to survive. That's how we can capture the emotional darkness of the first one, because there is a tension in that one and a dread, especially in the ending, that is so heart-wrenching. It's like a gut punch. That would have been a gut punch in this one. She kills all of them. Oopsie, it wasn't them. And then she still has to fight for her life and, deal with the strangers running around and doing all that. But she killed people. I would have liked that. I'm not a movie writer by any means, but I just think that would have been better storytelling than like whatever the fuck we got with the pig. So anyway, that's my review of Strangers Chapter 2. That's all I got. Let me know your thoughts. And if you went and saw this, what did you think of it? I would love to know, especially if you liked it at all. If you found redeemable qualities, please tell me. I mean, I found a couple redeemable qualities too. They're competently made movies. It's not like they're ugly or anything. They're actually too pretty to look at. That's one of my biggest gripes is it needs to be uglier, especially Maya, right? But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.